You're locked in right here to the station of the stars. Stay tuned. Coming your way, it's Legal Talk with your host, Jamal Hinkson, with Hinkson Immigration Law, right here in the plantation area. So, for all your needs and your questions, you can call in today at 954 900 4310. Once again, it's 954 900 4310. Coming your way, it's Legal Talk.
Need of an immigration attorney? Hinkson Immigration Law is here for you. Located an attorney for over 9 years and is a proud member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Hinkson Immigration Law offers assistance with family-based filings, visa extension, interview preparation, deportation defense, citizenship, and more. At Hinkson Immigration Law, their clients' needs always come first. For more information, give them a call today at 786-309-7038 to schedule your consultation. Hinkson Immigration Law Firm is ready to help you with all your immigration needs. Hinkson Immigration Law is a proud sponsor of Omega Radio. Are you in need of
Hello, and good day to all those listening. My name is Jamal Hinkson. I am an immigration attorney. I've been an immigration attorney for over 10 years, and I practice and I base my area of immigration in South Florida and Plantation. However, do not let that dissuade you from contacting me if you're outside of Florida. For as an immigration attorney, I represent individuals across the United States and across the world. Now, if you want to get in contact with me at my office, my number is 786-309-7038. Once again, it is 786-309-7038. Now, in terms of my practice, I only practice immigration law. So I'm a specialist. I'm an expert in this field. I represent individuals in the beginning stages of applying for status here in the United States, as well as I represent individuals in between where they may be facing deportation or removal from this country and they need relief, as well as I represent individuals at the very end of their immigration journey when they are applying for naturalization. So from beginning to end, I am the one that one should seek if they're seeking immigration representation. Now, on this great session and program, you have the ability to call in and ask a question, and I will answer your question, free of cost. Now, if you have to contact me after this program, depending on, the issue at hand, you probably may have to pay a consultation fee. But I think this is a great time to utilize this moment in time. If you have a burning immigration question, to ask your question. Now, the number that you can call is 954-900-4310. Now, if you need to get in contact with me, and let's say you have a relative abroad that really wants to ask me that question, you can ask me that question via WhatsApp at the number on the station at 876-319-1148. Or what is so good about my office number is that my office number is also a WhatsApp enabled number too as well, which is 786-309-7038. Now, while we're waiting for some callers to call in, I want to talk about immigration topics or certain areas that I'd like to cover today. Now, the election here in the United States is around the corner. And I first want to give a congratulations to, in particular, a lot of my clients who have become citizens this year and are going to be registering to vote or have registered to vote and are going to be voting in their first election. Congratulations. And due to the fact that, you may be thinking that, hey, I'm a green card holder. I've been here for quite some time. What are the steps or what are the requirements in order for me to apply for citizenship and obtain my citizenship here in the United States? Well, I'll tell you this. The general requirements is you have to be at least 18 years of age. You have to be a green card holder for at least 5 years. You actually can apply early uh, as a green card holder if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you've been living with that U.S. citizen for at least 3 years, and that U.S. citizen has been a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years. So you may have the option of applying earlier. Also, you have to show that you've been continuously and physically residing here in the United States, and I'll go over that later. And you have to demonstrate that you are a person of good moral character, which I'll go into that later too as well. So let's talk about the continuous and physical presence. Well, one of the requirements you have to show, or two of the requirements you have to show, is that you've been continuously and physically present in the United States over the last 5 years or 3 years, whichever one is applicable to you. So let's go over continuous presence. Continuous presence means that if you have taken a trip that lasted 6 months or more, there is a rebuttable presumption that you have abandoned or you have broken your continuous presence here in the United States. And sometimes immigration may even take the leap and say that you have actually abandoned your status as a green card holder because based on your extended absence from the United States, you have shown that you intend to abandon your green card. I've had that situation appear with some of my clients. And this normally happens for individuals that take extended trips, or they may not even take a trip that lasted 6 months or more, but they've taken frequent trips to the point that an immigration officer at the interview says, "Hey, we looked at your trips, out and into the country over the last 5 years or 3 years, and it appears that you spend more time outside the United States as opposed to in." Now, one of the things that I would like to advise people on this process is that if you are going to take a trip, or if that trip you think is going to last more than 6 months, one of the things that you can do to make sure that we avoid the issue of even immigration considering that you have abandoned your status as a green card holder is you can apply for what is called a reentry permit, which allows you to, once it is approved, allows you to stay outside the country for even up to 2 years without there being even an intention or a presumption that you have abandoned your status as a green card holder. Now, one of the things you need to keep in mind is that this reentry permit doesn't preserve your continuous presence. So let's say you get the reentry permit and now you want to take an extended trip. If you're now thinking about filing for citizenship, that extended trip is going to count against you as it relates to you establishing your continuous presence in the United States over the last 5 or 3 years for purposes of citizenship. However, the most important thing is you keep your green card intact. So, my advice to individuals who are taking extended trips, make sure you limit it to under 6 months. And if it cannot be under 6 months, then definitely make sure you come back in before a year, because that presumption now changes. If you spend a year or more outside the United States without this reentry permit, it is no longer a presumption that your continuous presence is broken, but now it's almost as if it is definite that the continuous presence is broken, and you will have to wait the certain period of time in the United States to regain that continuous presence. Now, as it relates to physical presence is not dealing with one trip or multiple trips which last for 6 months or under 6 months. Physical presence is exactly what it means: physically present. And in order to qualify for citizenship, at the time you file your application, you have to show that you have been present, physically present in the United States for at least more than half the required time, which if you're applying on the basis of being a green card holder for over 5 years, The number you have to look at is at least you spent 913 days physically in the country on the day you actually apply or immigration receives your application for citizenship. So you may have a situation where you can establish that you were continuously present because you've taken trips, but none of those trips have lasted over 6 months. However, due to the frequency of the trips that you've taken and the length of time that you've spent outside the United States, you may not be able to, demonstrate the physical presence requirement. I actually had a scenario uh, related to this situation for a former client of mine. My former client decided to apply for citizenship on his own, and he was not really clear on how long he spent outside the country. So when he went to his interview, his naturalization interview, it was brought to his attention that he spent over 913 days over the last 5 years outside the United States. And that is technically over half, 2.5 years outside the United States as opposed to inside the United States. And therefore, that in it of itself disqualified him from applying for citizenship. So one of the great things about, if you get an unfortunate denial for citizenship, you don't necessarily mean that you're out of luck for the rest of your life. But as long as you become eligible later on, then you can reapply. So when that former client then decided to consult with me, we took a real deep look into his travel history outside the United States. And we were able to determine at what period of time can we now become eligible for him to reapply for citizenship based on him now acquiring the amount of days physically present in the United States. And we were able to reapply, and he was eligible based on physical presence. And you know what is so special about that former client is that as it relates to the continuous presence requirement, he spent an extended period of time outside the United States. He spent 10 months outside the United States. He didn't have a reentry permit. And the reason why he spent that extended period outside the United States is because when he traveled in January of 2020. And the reason why that is so significant is that unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic or epidemic broke loose in 2020. And in fact, a lot of individuals who were abroad who had their green cards or even US citizens, the airports were not allowing individuals to come back into the United States, especially if you were a green card holder. And then even if there was an opening for individuals coming back into the United States, the flights that were, offered were few and far between. So my client had to spend an extended period of time outside the United States, which, as I mentioned earlier, if you have over 6 months but less than a year, there's a presumption that you have broken your continuous presence and therefore you're not eligible to apply for citizenship. However, that is just a presumption. So when we applied, he had his physical presence, but there was a presumption that he broken his continuous presence. However, when we applied with evidence showing, look, this is the reason why he was outside the country. It wasn't because of any intention to break his continuous presence or he had any intention of abandoning his green card. But this is what was happening. We had to provide proof of his, trip that lasted approximately 10 months. We provided immigration with proof showing that the flights out of the country where he was staying at the time were limited. And then we also presented even that there was a presidential proclamation that closed the borders, the United States borders, during a specific, period of months while my client was abroad. So all of these were used as evidence to rebut the presumption that my client, either abandoned his green card through, breaking his continuous presence. And thank God we were able to get my client approved. And he is now a citizen today. And hopefully he's going to be, applying, not applying, but actually voting in this upcoming election. So folks, based on this session today, everything that I tell you is almost like a cautionary tale that it's important that if you're seeking any type of immigration benefit, you must seek the advice of an expert attorney, and an expert attorney in that is specializes in immigration law, such as myself. So, folks, please, I don't want you to end up as a cautionary tale. Luckily, I was able to save my client and he's able to become a citizen. But I don't want you to be that cautionary tale where people look at you as, hey, don't do this. But I want you to be one that says, hey, I found an attorney, he advised me properly, and now I have that immigration benefit today. And hopefully that immigration benefit leads all the way up to US citizenship. Folks, my name is Jamal Hinkson. My number is 786-309-7038. Once again, it is 786-309-7038. And till we meet again, God bless. And I hope that you'll give me a call if you have any burning immigration questions. Thank you and have a great day.
An immigration attorney? Hinkson Immigration Law is here for you.